the meta in Marvel Strike Force can shift pretty dramatically from month to month. And in my opinion, we had a pretty big shift in the meta from June to July. And in this video, we are counting down the top 10 free-to-play, aka farmable characters in all of Marvel Strike Force for July of 2021. And yeah, this list looks pretty different than last month. So if you're ready to see which characters are on the list this month, which characters are off the list this month, then find that like button and let's go smash it.
ValleyFlyin.
Well, hello, Valley Maniacs. I am back. Welcome back to the ValleyFlyin channel. I am ValleyFlyin. I hope you're having a great week, and I hope you're ready for this update to drop. Hopefully this video is out as you're waiting for this update to drop to give you some entertainment while we're waiting for the game to come back up. But in this video, we are counting down the top 10 free-to-play characters on all of Marvel Strike Force for July of 2021. And like I said in the intro, this list shifted pretty dramatically from the last month's list. Now, if you're not at the end game, because this list is pretty subjective, these are the characters that I feel, if they were missing from my roster, would create the most pain in trying to replace them and find replacements for Doom Rays, Arena, and different things. And if you're a newer player, this is a glimpse into some of the characters that are pretty valuable right now in the end game. Obviously, this is very subjective and is not just based on the character's value, but based on my personal usage over the past month. So there is some subjectivity to this list, but I feel you should be working on these characters eventually as a newer player. Down the road, as a mid-game player, you probably should be working on these, building them in the background. And as an end-game player, I feel that you should have at least a lot of these characters. Maybe your roster, you're focusing on some different characters and you could replace these characters a little differently than I can, but and in my opinion, these are some very, very valuable characters. Now, let's go and check out who is not farmable, who is not eligible for this list. So back in the day, I was just including a lot of characters that are easy to get. Well, I had to draw the line somewhere. So if they're not farmable, they're not available on a node, they're not available in a store, then they are not eligible for this list. And these are the characters that are not eligible. All the legendaries, technically, you can get them as a free-to-play player, but just for the sake of this list, they're not included in this list. A lot of these other characters, you can get them as free-to-play as well. But these characters are all no nodes, no store, and they're not a Wolverine, Hulk character that are available in daily achievements or daily objectives and in achievements. So these are the characters that are not eligible. A lot of great characters here, guys. So if you're wondering why Silver Surfer, Kestrel, Doom, some Infinity Watch characters are not on this list, it's because they are not eligible for this list. So let's clear this list off and see who recently became eligible for this list. 3 characters: Multiple Man, Polaris, and Iceman is going to be available today. So Multiple Man recently became farmable on Doom in the Doom Chapter 3.9. Replacing one of the characters there. Polaris recently became farmable on Cosmic 1.6, and Iceman today will be available on Villain 7.9. So those are the characters that are recently eligible for this list. Are any of these characters strong enough that I'm using often enough that I should recommend them for this list? We will see as we start to count this down. So this is the list for July 2021, the top 10 characters, and coming in at number 10 this month, surprising a lot of people, is Longshot, falling 7 spots from last month. Very, very big fall. And I think a lot of the reason for that fall, I'm not using him in Arena anymore. Infinity Watch is dominant in Arena. In the previous month, he was a very important part of my Arena team along with Shatterstar. Not using him there anymore. And I'm not using him in the raids too much right now because I'm in that Doom raid in that left section. So the mutant section is all the way at the end, which means that I don't use my mutants. Plus, I don't have him at that Iso-8 level 5 either. So few reasons that he fell. He's still a great character, especially if you're pairing him with Shatterstar. Let's see why he is so good though. He did fall, but he is still a very good character, especially if you pair him with Shatterstar. And he's also very important in that Adam Warlock event. Now he is in a very hard to farm place, the War Store. So yeah, if you got to prioritize the characters there, because there's a lot of great characters there, a lot of great characters on their own, a lot of great characters that unlock other legendaries. Longshot is one of them, but I don't know if he's super necessary in today's meta. Probably more dominant in the Wars offense than anything else, but also usable in the raids if you got that Iso-8 on him. Usable if you have Shatterstar in Dark Dimension. But yeah, Skirmisher's the most prominent tag, and I think the most popular T4 is this passive right here. against all odds. It gives him more healing, gives the X Factor more healing. Really, really good skill and highly recommended. Long shot at number 10 this month. Little bit of a fall, but I think the reason for his fall is pretty justified. Let's go back to the list and see who came in at number 9 this month. It is another character that is very prominent in previous lists. It is Mr. Sinister. He's actually moving up one spot this month. And yeah, like Longshot, unfortunately, he's in that very crowded war store, but he's a very good character. But let's go take a look at his skills. And obviously the most popular skill for Mr. Sinister is this clone mechanic. Why? Because if you put the T4 in this clone mechanic, in this clone move, all the T4s will be filled out for anybody that he clones. And the most popular class, Iso-8 class for him, is that healer class. I used to have Skirmisher on him a little while ago just for the extra focus. I think it was for a Dark Dimension node, honestly, in the global section. And then, but I realized, what do I need the extra focus for? So he's back to the healer class, and it's always been one of the most popular classes on msup.gg. And over this past month, got the blue Iso-8 on him. But yeah, available in the war store. Very good on War D, although you could argue that the value of the entire Marauders is falling. I know a lot of people are taking Emma off of that team, and just the normal Marauders, not the Emma Marauders, not as strong there. Still very, very necessary. And the reason he is on this list, very necessary for Dark Dimension 4. Those global nodes, excuse me, and Dark Dimension 4, Sinister, Ghost, and Emma can pretty much auto those nodes there. So very good character, very important character. Eventually you're gonna need him. I don't know how important he is in the meta nowadays, but he's still relevant, and he still falls in some of these top 10 characters that are farmable nowadays. But he's crowded war store. All right, next character on the list is our girl Night Nurse. And you could argue, even with Moondragon, even with Maria Hill coming to the game, she is still the best pure healer for the skill nodes of the Doom Raids. Now, Moondragon does a lot of other things. Maria Hill does some damage, but if you're talking about just pure healing, Night Nurse, I think, is the best pure healer, and I use her still in the Doom Raids, in those skill sections. I don't know how necessary Maria Hill is going to be, but yeah, she did fall a few spots from last month because her value did go down with the introduction of Moondragon, using her a little bit less, but still very valuable in the raids, very valuable in war as part of that Shadowlands team. And you could use her as a backup in Dark Dimension. I don't know if she's one of the most required city characters nowadays, but as far as her Iso-8 goes, healer is the best class here. And if we look at the most popular T4, it's got to be her passive. 51% of users on msf.gg have T4 the passive for Night Nurse, and just a very good healer. If you already have a healer for the skill nodes of the Doom Raids, you should be good. Moondragon is good. Maria Hill good, but if we're talking, like I said, the best pure healer for just healing, she is gonna do the most for you, and you could get her on Villains 3-9. Back to the list though, who's coming in at number 7 this month? It is Zemo. Turkish delights all around for Zemo, making everybody happy with the irresistible Turkish delights, but he has fallen a little bit. Came in very, very high. He was number 1 last month, actually fell 6 spots. And the reason for that is he is out of my arena team as well. He was a very important part of my arena team as that transitional team between the Black Order and Infinity Watch. Now Infinity Watch is here. He is off of my arena team, and you could even argue with a lot of these other characters coming to skill. His value in the Doom Raid is falling, but I still use him on a daily basis as a part of my main team. Still very valuable in war as part of a lot of different hybrid war attack teams. So yeah, you could use him, and he's very cheap for Dark Dimension 4 if you're thinking of taking him in. He doesn't take a lot of those uniques, so very good character. Let's take a look at him in the game and check out his Iso-8 class. His most popular class is the Raider class for Zemo. I have that Skirmisher class on him because of that extra focus. I needed it in Arena when I wanted to put that ability block on. I think you could still make the argument, again, if you need that ability block to land, Skirmisher is a very good class for him. But if you're just trying to get the most crits, that Raider class is going to be the best. And as far as T4s, the most popular is going to be his passive, because what that does is it gives more damage to all of the targets, clears 3 positive effects from enemies, and gives more speed to Hydra allies, Hydra minion allies. So still a great character. and is not that hard to farm. He's available in the raid store, not as hard as a war store, but you still have to have that RNG for him to actually show up in that store. So get him if you can. One of the characters that I think you're going to need down the road, but he is losing value. So I don't know how hard you should be going as far as Zemo right now, losing value in a lot of places that he was valuable previously. But yes, he did fall 6 spots, but he still is on the list, guys. So let's get back to the list and see who came in at that number 6 spot. It is Carnage. Oh, there he is, Carnage. Very, very important part of that symbiote team, and one of 2 symbiotes that is farmable. The rest, symbiote Spider-Man, Anti-Venom, Scream, not available in any farmable way. There are available in some orbs, but for the sake of this list, orbs do not count as far as farmability. But Carnage is, in my opinion, the best farmable symbiote out there, overshadowing Venom a little bit. I think if you're running a 4-person symbiote team, Venom is the most replaceable. Carnage and his passive is very, very valuable for that speed. So still very dominant in the raids, and I'm still using Carnage every single day in the Doom raids. But the reason I'm picking Carnage over Venom is because that passive is very, very important. Let's take a look at him in game and see some of his Iso-8 and T4 recommendations. As far as Iso-8, this skirmisher seems to be the most important class for that extra focus. As you get to level 5, I don't have mine at level 5 yet, but once he gets to level 5 Iso-8, that extra focus will be important. As far as T4s, I mean, it's a no-brainer. We have talked about it already. This passive, very important for giving the rest of those symbiotes speed, especially in the raid. So Carnage is a very important character. He is in that war store though, so and again, a character that you're going to have to prioritize because there's this very crowded store, but he will give you some value. He can also be important part of that Shuri unlock, but Skirmisher seems to be the most important tag. He did move up 1 spot, but let's get back to the list, guys. And coming in at the number 5 spot is, it is Thanos back on the list. He fell off the list last month because the Black Order was falling out of Arena. They did fall out of Arena. They're not there anymore as far as my Arena chart. They still may be in some, but he's not there anymore. The raids, there was other characters that I was using a little more in the raids, but as I was thinking about it over this past month, Thanos, his energy battery that he gives to the rest of the characters in raids, very, very important. So he is back on the list because if I did not have Thanos, it would be a little painful to try to get all that energy. And he's kind of a tank for that Mystic Lanes and Doom. So he is valuable for me. He is back on the list. He should be back on your list as well. Yes, there's a few reasons he fell last month, but he is back. So raids and war, that's pretty much the only areas that you're going to use the Black Order, and Black Order's kind of fallen off in all areas of the game except for war, not really in Arena, not really going to use them in the raids except for 2 characters, Thanos and Ebony Maw. Proxima, Corvus, and Cull, you could kind of forget about them at this point. But yeah, if you want to get Thanos, he's available on Nexus 8-9. Great character, great energy battery. If there's a better energy battery that comes out in the future, though, he will be falling off because that's the main reason he's on this list for me. So yes, let me know where Thanos is on your usability right now, guys. Let's move up to the list. It is number 4, Red Guardian coming in, moving up 2 spots. And why did he move up so much? Well, as far as the skill lanes in Doom, and a lot of this list has been based on the skill lanes in Doom because that has been the hardest lane. Now with the Secret Avengers coming, we're getting some relief. But Red Guardian, Kestrel, and Gamora, in my opinion, are the 3 most valuable characters there, at least for me. A lot of times other characters die sooner, like Zemo, like Night Nurse, but Red Guardian, Gamora, and Kestrel just dominate that lane for me. So let's go take a look at Red Guardian in the game, see why he is so good. Obviously, T4 Iso-8 recommendation is that healer class. The most popular T4 on MSF.GG is this passive of his, where he's gaining max health. Skilled military allies are also gaining max health, and he's also giving speed up to all skilled military allies. So does some good things, mainly for the health though. That's going to help him in the raids. I only have the class 4 level Iso-8 on him, but depending on what lane, you might need him on level 5 if you want to run him in the skilled lanes. In addition to raids, he's also a good war character. He's a part of that military skill team that was controversial, and you're going to need him for that training mat event that pops up. So yes, when he pops up in the war, he doesn't rotate in the war store. When you see him in the arena store, he will get him. You're going to need him towards the end. Although, when Sam Wilson comes out, his value may be diminishing. So this is another character like Thanos that you may want to temper your farming on them. They may be losing value, but for me, over the past month in over the past month in June, Red Guardian had a lot of value for me, and it would be very painful if I did not have Red Guardian. Let's go up to number 3. And number 3 is Hela. She moved up one spot, kind of by default. A lot of characters fell this month. Very few rose up, and one of them that rose up was Hela. And the reason for it, I think she's still very valuable for newer players. I'm not using her a lot this month. This is the only exception to my usability. This is because I think she's valuable in a lot of different game modes, but mainly because of those 3 legendary unlocks. Villain Mystic Controller for Phoenix. She's also Asgardian for Black Bolt, and Black Bolt, you need Black Bolt for Ebony Maw, so the road to 3 legendary characters. Also pretty good in war, although Hela Natural is where I think a lot of people are using her nowadays to counter that Wave 1 Avengers. Not the most important counter, so losing a lot of value towards the end games. She's kind of exception on this list, but let's go see why she is so good. Like I said, she is falling, but I do think she needs to be mentioned kind of by default for newer players because of her value, especially with Greg. Valuable in the raids, and if we take a look at what is her most valuable T4, it is that Raider class to get that crits on her big opening move, her big ultimate, and her most important T4 is for that ultimate that we mentioned. So a lot of it is about that opening move to T4. Very valuable for Greg as well. And if you want to farm Hela, she's available on Villain 7-9, which in my opinion is still one of the big cutoffs between early game and mid game. Once you could farm that Villain 7-9 at 3 stars, I think that's when you're approaching the mid game if you're not already in the mid game. So that is Hela. That is the list. Let's go back to the list for characters that I think are very, very valuable. And boom, it is our girl Nebula. First time on the list, just recently made farmable again last month, but the Infinity Watch was not here. She was not as valuable to that entire team and the overall scope of the game last month, but this month she is there. Now that the Infinity Watch is here, now that we have Farmable, Moondragon, and for some people, Adam Warlock. Why is she so valuable? Well, I'm using her every single day on Arena, in offense, and on defense. I use her in war when encountering characters or countering teams with that Infinity Watch team. Not using her in raids yet, although I think she will be decent for the tech lanes in raid. May not be the best character for raids, but Arena is the most important game mode in my opinion. So characters that I'm using in Arena get a lot higher weight. That's the reason that Longshot fell. That's the reason that Zemo fell, because they're not used in Arena anymore. But let's take a look at her game and take a look at her T4s and her Iso-8 recommendation. This T4, this passive right here, one of the most important to that entire Infinity Watch team. So highly recommended. And as far as her class, the class that is on most of the Infinity Watch team, that Striker class. So actually, not the Striker class. She's the only character that you want to skirmisher on her so that you could get more assists from her. So build her up. I think she's very valuable to this entire team. Very valuable in Arena, very valuable in War, and Striker is the best class. And possibly, I haven't tested her in Dark Dimension, but people that say they take all 4 of the females in the Infinity Watch team, they could pretty much auto those cosmic sections of Dark Dimension. So if you're building them up, you're not going to waste your resources, because you could also use them in Arena, and I think that will be a part of the meta for at least a little while more. But yeah, you could take them into Dark Dimension 4, and the word on the street is they are very dominant in Dark Dimension 4. If you have 4 of the Infinity Watch characters, and you see Nebula as number 2, I think you could pretty much guess who is number 1 on the list. Moved up 1 spot from last month, and that was before the Infinity Watch was here. Now that the Infinity Watch is here, I think this is the number 1 farmable character in the game. It is Gamora, available in the Blitz store. So not only is she very great on that Infinity Watch team, very easy for players to farm. Now, this may not want to be one of your first farms in the Blitz store, because as a newer player, there may be other characters that are a little more valuable to you. But eventually, you're going to want Gamora. How soon should you go after her? I think pretty soon, especially if you can get to some of these other Infinity Watch characters there. So valuable in Arena, valuable in War. I use her in the raids along with Kestrel in the skill section. So let's take a look at her in game. most important T4 is going to be, most important Iso-8 class is going to be that striker class. And that combination of Gamora, Nebula, using that Gamora basic, so important. And as far as the T4s, it is very close between her passive, where she is getting empowered, giving a speed bar. She's getting clearing negative effects himself when she's and then empowered as well as improving the crit chance. And this basic, pairing this basic with Nebula, where she does that triple tap, Nebula does her move, and then Gamora goes again. That could wipe out a lot of enemies, especially if your Nebula and Gamora are built up pretty high. But yeah, I recommend getting her in the Blitz store as soon as you can. As soon as it's not going to screw up any of your other farms of any of your other teams, I recommend getting Gamora, building her up, because yeah, in my opinion, one of the most valuable, if not the most valuable character in Marvel Strike Force right now. So that is it for the list, guys. That is my list. Let me know what your list is as well. Like I said, very highly subjective, so your list may look totally different than mine based on which characters you're using, which characters you're prioritizing, and maybe you prioritize different game modes than I do. For me, it's arena, then raids, then war. Maybe your prioritization is in a different order, so your characters may be used very differently. So let me know your list, guys. Agree? Disagree? Are you going to go hard for this Secret Avengers team? Hopefully we have a good update coming up in just a few hours, guys. Make sure you give me that Hulk fist bump before you go. Check out some of my other videos. Check out my other channel, ValleyFlyin 76, for some daily Marvel Future Revolution gameplay. And have a great rest of your day, guys. Make sure you follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and I'll see you next time. Hulk fist bump, ValleyFlyin out!